Hello, everyone. Welcome to Profit Boss Accounting Podcast. And today I feel honored to have Dr. Mark Devini and Paul Andrew to join me on this podcast. And they work directly with chiropractors and they're going to show us ways to improve your practice to make it better because there's always technology and things behind, just adjusting spine and, helping like healing your patient. So, welcome, Mark. Can
Thank
you?
you.
Yes, and welcome, Paul. If you don't mind, giving like maybe less than 60 seconds, who you are and what you do. That would be great.
Okay, well, 60 seconds will tell me I am a chiropractor. Graduated from Palmer College of Chiropractic in 1981 and practiced for 27 years. And through connections and other changes in life that were kind of unexpected, ended up doing a lot of medical legal work, which led to a lot of regulatory work, which led to a lot of compliance work. And by getting into those areas, it turned out that there was this whole area that chiropractors either knew very little about or nothing at all sometimes, and thought that it would be a nice way to interact and impact chiropractors on a larger scale and teach them the things they don't know, or a lot of times the things they don't even want to know. And we do that through an educational process and through our company, Tools of Practice, which is a compliance and education company.
Awesome. And thank you, Mark. What about
Yeah.
Paul? I I know
Sure,
Mark was a chiropractor. And what about you? What is your previous life before becoming having your own
sure.
business?
So my name is Paul Andrews. I'm also with Tools of Practice. I started as a chiropractic assistant 28 years ago. Had a great mentor and friend, chiropractor boss, who encouraged me to consult as I started to learn more about the billing and coding side of things. So from there, I started consulting with other chiropractors. I started working with the state trade association, doing seminars. Then I opened up my own billing company that specializes in chiropractic and physical therapy billing. I did that in 2002. And then through those interactions, I met up with Dr. Mark Davini. We started doing a few things together and realized we were filling a much needed void and niche in chiropractic, which is to help chiropractors, not just with practice, but with all kinds of questions from compliance, education, coding, billing, especially. And so we started Tools of Practice about 10 years ago, and it's been going strong ever since.
So you started 10 years ago.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Wonderful. So tell me, especially Dr. Mark, I am wondering, you were a chiropractor in your previous life. And now what made you decided to, change your career from chiropractic, healing people to helping behind the scene instead?
It's a story that basically in 2004 just had a personal tragedy, probably the best way to say it without getting into details. And it moved me away from practice at the time. And because of my background in medical legal work, it was sort of my fill in that I used at the time. And through, like I say, you becoming involved in a lot of the medical legal aspects of chiropractic, which piggybacked into compliance because both Paul and I are in Massachusetts, and Massachusetts was one of the very first states to mandate compliance as part of your practice profile and what you do. So it was sort of this transition changeover that happened, I'll say organically, through changes in my life that will be beyond my control.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So, just tell me about how your business. I mean, from my understanding is you are helping like building and also coaching at the same time. What are you coaching chiropractor? Like I know that there's so many things, not just when you run a business, it's not just about um, you know, adjusting. There are so many things
Right.
behind the scene, right? To have like a good clinic, excellent clinic. How can you tell us
Yeah.
more about that?
So we basically hit all the things that most of the time chiropractors have difficulty with. So when we say we're a compliance company, we mean that from the full perspective of things. We deal with compliance from a federal and state and municipal perspective. What is it that the laws and regulations tell you have to do? But we also deal with Medicare. We deal with documentation. We deal with personnel issues. We'll deal with all the risk management issues that come from practice, especially being a clinician and interacting with doctors and how they can safeguard themselves from having issues like malpractice or things like that. So when we use the word compliance and tools of practice, we really mean the total consuming aspect of that word, not just federal and state regulations. It's all aspects of practice. That's why we said tools of practice, because it's literally everything that one might encounter. And the questions that come up are the questions that come up every day, common stuff, and people, chiropractors, don't know where to go to get the answers. And we're the answer guys.
Yeah, you would think that, because most chiropractor, when they go to school, the only thing they learn about is on like biology. I mean, I would
But
assume, right?
yeah, all
They
the
will not.
anatomy, the physiology, all the stuff, but they don't learn how to run a big business, let alone run a compliant business from all aspects of compliance. And that's what we do. Because between myself and Paul, with our both, the clinical backgrounds, our regulatory backgrounds, our medical legal backgrounds, Paul being a billing company himself in the trenches with all the carriers, we have a unique amalgam of all of information that allows us to pretty much approach any aspect of practice and come up with a workable solution. We don't just throw laws back at you and scare you to death. We look at things and say, look, there's a practical way to do this, and there's always some kind of practical workaround that we need to deal with to make whatever it is that we know you should be doing and need to be doing doable.
Right. So would you say that majority of your clients are they just came out of the school that would be a good fit for you, or someone already been practicing and then just did not realize that,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
until they
Well, the
what
answer to that is yes. I mean, we have new people, and then we have people who've been practicing 20, 30, 40 years. Because truly, the things that we deal with and that we become experts in are the things that most of the time, most practicing chiropractors don't really know or truthfully even want to know. Who wants to know about all the idiosyncrasies of Medicare? Eventually, they have to learn it, but somebody has to watch it. We always say, for example, 2 years ago, the ABN and Medicare changed 3 times in 1 year. Well, our job is to watch that stuff and then inform our clients about those changes while they are just too busy getting sick people well.
Yeah. So how do
Yeah.
you so you are teaching on a compliance. Do you what maybe you can give our listener an example, like what could happen if they don't have your, like what could happen if they just open the practice and without having you to
Mm.
support behind the scene, because maybe they don't know about the law, and maybe you have an experience that some of your client came across that
Mm.
before, and then you realize that, oh, it's totally worth it to work
Yeah.
with
Well, I guess what you might say that, that fearful word that a lot of people hear, and that's audit. So we're the
audit.
ones that will make you survive your audits. If it's a carrier that's auditing you and questioning your utilization, questioning your documentation, questioning your procedures, we're the ones that are trying to make that in your come and bring that to your practice so that when you are audited, and everybody gets audited, when you are audited, you survive it because you did everything the way you're supposed to. And like I say, these rules and it's sort of like you're an accountant.
Yeah.
And how many people, even though we all know we have to pay our taxes, we all know we have to do what we have to do, none of us know what you know as far as getting us through that process. And that's who we are. We're those people that can bring you through this process. I literally call every one of our members every month, and we go through a short little less than 5 minute audit of what's going on in their practice that month. And we make any recommendations, changes, assignments that need to happen to keep you compliant with federal regulations, state regulations, and even municipal regulations.
Okay, right. So when you talk about audit, as like when you open a practice, what type of audit that, that's they need to meet the requirement, of course, from in my industry, I know that there's an
Right,
IRS audit and the
right,
making sure that you are paying taxes, right? And
right.
what
And doing
about
it right.
yeah, what about when you open a chiropractic practice? What type of audit do they need to be aware of and be cautious about?
Well, a lot of times it has to do with just sometimes it's local stuff, making sure that you're following your municipal guidelines and rules and regulations. But very often in our world, we have federal guidelines. Medicare is a federal law. A lot of people mistakenly think it's a carrier, it's an insurance company. It isn't. It's actually guidelines set by Congress. So it would literally take an act of Congress to change Medicare. So all those rules, which are very convoluted sometimes, just like the tax law, right? All those rules can be very convoluted. So people interpret them incorrectly very often. And so even from day one, you could be doing Medicare incorrectly because you were never taught Medicare in school the way it's supposed to be done. You may actually have your documentation all messed up in ways that it wouldn't survive a risk management audit, like a malpractice claim, or maybe a carrier saying, I want you to send me your records to verify all the money we paid you was justified. And, we have cases all the time where people are getting hit up with audits and they'll call us up and say, oh my God, I just got this audit from this big carrier and they want a couple $100,000 back from me. So a lot of, and that can happen very quickly. That doesn't take a new practitioner to make those mistakes. Existing practitioners make those kind of mistakes. So, just Medicare documentation, personnel management, just dealing with staff can be very difficult. And a lot of people, again, we're not trained in this stuff when we go to school. Everything we do is the stuff you were never really trained in, but yet is part of what we call the chiropractic business. The doctors do the chiropractic practice. We handle the chiropractic business and guide you through those things so that you don't have to become an expert in a field that you had no intentions of going into. You wanted to be a chiropractor to help people through chiropractic, not a compliance officer.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I believe that most chiropractors probably feel resonate to that too because they are just like medical doctor and chiropractor,
Yeah,
we want to treat like healing from the root cause, right? Not just treated the
right,
symptom because when you treat it just a symptom, it's almost like it's gonna cost you more. And
right.
also sometimes you cannot even might not even get it fixed because the issue is just go too deep already.
Well, that's it. And sometimes it's stuff you don't even know. Very often we deal with the things they don't even know they don't know.
Yeah.
Where would they get this information? If you don't get it in school, you come out in practice, and most of the time, this is the line we get a lot. I was talking to a friend of mine who does it this way. It's like, well, chances are then it's going to be wrong because they didn't learn it any better than you did. So now you have this compounding error of one person telling another person how to do it wrong. And what do we say, Paul? Maybe 50% of the questions come through billing questions. Just all these little idiosyncrasies that they don't have even a way of knowing, let alone knowing that they should know it.
Yeah. So you are not just a billing company, obviously. You are
No,
more
no, Paul. And in fact, I pass all the billing questions to Paul.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, because many
Yeah,
chiropractor has like issue about insurance, right? And it seems like
yeah.
some of them even want to quit like taking insurance, but it's also a business too, like
Yeah,
quitting.
or if they do that, do they know how to do it correctly without running into issues like dual fees, which is against the law? Or, so you may say, I want to go self-pay in my practice. I don't want to take insurance, but chances are there's virtually no way to not take Medicare in one form or another. So they go, oh, well, no, I can go non participating, which is a complete misnomer because it still means you're in Medicare. It just has a different set of rules that guide you. in how patients pay you, but for the most part, you're still in Medicare. Everybody thinks that means I'm out of Medicare, and that's not true. And so they operate under this misperception of what non-participation means. For example, that's just one of the many examples of how a practitioner falls into the traps of non-compliance when they don't even know that they're falling into this trap.
Can you give us an example? What is a non-compliant?
Well,
Like,
say, for example, if you were to, using Medicare, because everybody loves to relate to Medicare, Medicare likes to categorize you as either participating or non-participating. Well, the average normal human being would think that means I'm in or I'm out, right? The problem is you're in under both. You still have to follow all the rules and regulations of Medicare, even if you're non-participating. But there are certain rules on when the patient can pay, how the patient can pay, how much the patient can pay, how long the coverage is for, all very clearly defined by federal law, not an insurance carrier. This isn't policy. This is federal law. So when you are going against Medicare, you are
yeah.
breaking a federal regulation. Scary
Like,
compared to a regular insurance carrier. If you don't like what they do, you can always just say, no, I don't want to play. But it's hard to say no to Medicare. So if you're going to be in that world, you want to comply. You want to do it the way the federal government says you're supposed to do it.
right. Just hearing that is almost like a scientific formula or something.
Exactly. Well, they have a
Non-compliant.
very strict rule. Yeah, they have
Right.
very strict rules, very strict rules. And we always say this: do it, learn it, just make sure it's all correct because you don't want to mess with the feds.
And how do you work with chiropractor, Mark? How do you help them? Maybe you can talk to us more about that?
Sure. Well, it's a membership organization, so people sign on, and then we set up their compliance manual, actually create this state and office specific compliance manual. And then once a month, I'll call them and I'll go through a short external audit, a series of questions that if they're no, we're done with it. If there's a yes, we have to follow through on it. And usually that means some kind of short assignment of things. If you hired a new staff member, do they even know that there's federal regulations that tell you what it is that has to take place within the first 60 days as far as training goes? So we guide them through all that. And then we also will give them some short assignments to do to keep them compliant from an internal audit perspective. It's like, yeah, here's this checklist of yes and no questions. Walk around your office, make sure your fire extinguishers are current, make sure your exit signs are lit, things like that. So every month I check in with them. They're supposed to send me their assignments. And once those assignments are completed, then I might give them another one. Or if they might answer yes to one of the external audit questions, then we give them follow-up work to do there. All of these things are related. Those 10 questions that I ask are really the 10 things that are paramount to compliance.
Yeah. So is it more like do you gonna work with the chiropractor directly, or is more on like they watch a video, they submit the assignment, and then they meet with their coach, or how does it work?
Well, they have direct access to us through email, so they ask us questions all the time. We do have a whole resource of training videos. We have a whole resource of forms and references that they can use if they are the do-it-yourself type of person. But they really have direct access to us. And like I say, I contact them every month. So that's the time they get to ask those questions. Oh, I'm glad you called today because this came up or this situation just happened. So I'm sort of that quiet partner in their practice. And like I say, when there's a billing question, I funnel it over to Paul, and Paul answers the billing questions because he's literally right there in the trenches with the carriers and knows all those crazy idiosyncrasies that the carriers love to impose upon us. So it's just this interaction. I'm the silent partner in their practice.
This is remind me of it's like almost like you are having an insurance policy. Like if something happen, you can lean on to someone who got
Yeah,
experience, lean on to your peer that maybe sometimes you don't feel comfortable of talking to your peers, and they can go to you and ask questions. That's
yeah.
wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, and and because of our experiences, we have the answers. And if we don't have the answers directly, we have the ability and resources to find out the answers. So what you said is perfect. We always say that. It's like, well, you buy insurance with the hope that you never need it. We say you become compliant with the hope that no one ever challenges you.
Right.
But you're there. You're ready and able to do it if someone does challenge you, or we're able to guide you through the process if for some reason you are being challenged by a carrier or a patient or a lawyer or an insurance company.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So, if anyone want to learn more about your company, can you give us like some your contact information where they can reach out to you and maybe get on a call or something?
sure, sure. They can go to toolsofpractice.com, which is our website. And there's a lot of information on the website, which we're in the middle of revamping right now. But even still, there's a lot of information on our website. There's a contact information on the website that they can request a consultation with us if they want to, or they can simply go to learn@toolsofpractice.com and email us directly.
Right. But if they are not ready to take action yet, right? I
Right,
think you mentioned that you have a YouTube channel where you can
right.
they can go learn more about you. You want to mention
Oh,
that?
geez, yeah, Paul, tell them about the podcast. I forgot all about the
Yeah,
podcast.
so we have a podcast called All Things Chiropractic. They can go to allthingschiropractic.com and all of our episodes are there. They can give us episode ideas, feedback. If they want to know more about us specifically, they can just listen to episode 0 and episode 1 because we explain all about who we are and all about what tools of practice actually is.
Wonderful. And you have it on Apple Podcasts and YouTube channel.
Anywhere you listen to podcasts. So
Okay.
YouTube, Apple, Amazon, Spotify, you name it.
And I'm gonna put it in the show note as well, just
Thank you.
in case that if someone don't have a
Yeah.
pen to write or something. Yes.
So it's perfect because we're going to have you on our podcast and it's going to be tax time. How great is that, right?
Accounting and taxes, right?
That's right.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mark and Paul. It's wonderful
Thank
to
you.
talk to you again. And,
Yes.
we met in person and it's good to see you on the camera, I guess.
Yes.
And hopefully we see you both in person again.
We
But
will for
eh,
sure.
yes, I'm gonna stop the recording. Oh, is there anything else I missed though that you want to mention so I can like have like cut and put it, you know, cut and edit it? Is there anything else you want to mention?
So one of the things of the many things that makes us unique is that our membership is for the entire office. So many times our dedicated email for our members in which they can ask questions all the time get utilized by the chiropractic assistants, the billing assistant, the financial CA, not just the doctor, because most of the operations, as you probably know, don't happen with the doctor. It happens with the staff, and they're the ones that really have the questions when it comes to billing, coding, audits, releases, staff questions. So anybody inside their office, because it's the office that is the member, can reach out to us.
That's even better. That's like a big bonus because as like business owner myself, we already wear so many hats. We don't want to add more hat into it. That we have to be the one who teaches them, right? If you have like resources that team member can hop on and ask you question and watch some get some resources, that's even better.
Yeah.
And
Beyond that, even when Dr. Davini calls each office under their premium membership with the compliance program, he's often talking to a staff person, not the doctor. The staff person is the one running the compliance program on the office end of things. And the provider only probably gets on if they have a specific question or concern themselves.
Yeah, about half the offices are managed by CAs. Half the offices, when I make the calls, are CAs.
and yeah, so most of the CA usually there are admin people, right? Admin person. And I would think that must be more like an established type of practice to have a full-time CA. Because if
Mhm.
you just started, you probably don't have a CA yet. isn't it?
Right. If you're just starting, you may do it yourself. And those are the people I'll talk to a lot. And those are startup questions that we get. But then as you go along, usually within 6 months, they're hiring somebody because there's a limit to what you can do by yourself, what you just said,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
There is a limit to what you can do by yourself. And CAs are the best resource for not just doing more of it, but doing it better. Again, some of our podcasts we talk about CAs. In fact, one that was just released was on the national certification of CAs, and then we talk about the clinical CAs, and all of these aspects help you improve your practice even early on. So it's sometimes it's just good to start out where you want to end up.
Yeah, delegation.
Mhm.
Delegation
Exactly.
with decision.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, awesome, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Wonderful to learn more about, what other services out there, what can we help our client with as well. And that's why I like to talk to like several like vendor for chiropractors and how we can help not just on the accounting side. I mean, of course, in our firm, we just focus on the accounting and tax side. But sometimes there are some question that came across that they would ask, on the marketing, sometimes on like
Mhm.
the building, what type of building vendor that would be best, on the like take a look at the percentage. And we always look for vendors and to help them save costs too. So this is great.
Right.
I'm
Right.
glad.
You have your affiliates that, that there are things that we don't know. And you're definitely an example of that. It's a whole field we don't know, but yet it's something that requires participation,
Yeah, and
privacy.
it's a community, right?
Right,
It,
right, right.
we
One
help
way
each
or
other.
another, they need to be able to have accounting. We're
Yeah,
compliance, it's a different form of accounting, and you're another form of accounting.
yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, Mark and
Thank
Paul.
you.
I appreciate you both.